Hey there everybody, welcome to my quick-ish little video. It's a review of the brand new set we've been waiting for, Gatecrash. We finally got all the cards out. I know we had them for a couple days, but this video is specifically going to be taking a look at these cards in limited so that you have the tools that you need to completely dominate tonight's pre-release. So really, I'm throwing this video together as quickly as possible. We're at wizards.com. They have the full set on here now, and I'm just going to go through here. We're going to look at each card. I'm going to tell you what I think it's going to do in limited, just so that you can kind of have a better grasp of what your 40s should look like in tonight's main event, so that you can just take home those wins. So this isn't as pretty as I'd like it to be. If I had had the time, I definitely would have saved each card individually as its own picture or, JPEG file, and then I would have just scrolled through them in a much prettier format, but this is going to get the job done. Hopefully that's something I can do for future sets if you guys enjoy what you see here. The very first card we're going to be talking about, real quick aside, I am going to be doing these. I'm just going to be cutting myself off and just starting new episodes. I'm going to record it all in one chunk, but the episodes will be cut up. You obviously see this from part whatever up in the title of this video, but I will be dividing them up based on letters because they are going to be in alphabetical order here. And I think that's just going to make it a lot easier for you guys to find specific cards that you're looking for. So anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about almsbeast. This guy is a 6/6 for 4, which I love. Creatures blocking or blocked by almsbeast have lifelink. So that is the main snag with this card. Now, I would never block with almsbeast, but the thing that I like about this card, and the thing, well, you can feign the block, though. I really like attacking in with it and making them make the decisions. The thing with this card is that it is basically Swords to Plowshares. When you think about it, they're going to gain life, but up to a 6/6, and you're dropping this on turn 4, up to a 6/6 dies to this thing. And it's 6 damage. It is 6 damage. It's basically a 3-turn clock at that point in the game. So you are really pressuring them to block this thing and just pitch creatures to this. So sure, they'll gain 6 life, but in the end, you don't really care because you're wiping out their board. You have other cards in your hand. This is just one card that you're laying down that is forcing them to get rid of creatures. I actually really like almsbeast. I think he's going to be a player. I like him. Symbol the Legion. This card in limited is actually not too bad. You're going to get your upkeep creatures, your soldier creature tokens onto the field. I like this. They have haste, which is nice. It's really nice if you can get it out, because then you really don't have to worry too much about board sweepers and stuff like that, because the very next turn you're going to have all these cards crapping out onto the field. But I'm just not sure about it. I don't know. With Gruul out there, I'm not sure that this is kind of the card that you want to be answering some of these other threats with. It's a 5-drop, so that's a little late. Now, this is a format that you're probably going to see a lot of turn 10s, turn 11s, so I think that this is a card that you definitely want to keep an eye on. Maybe something that you just have handy, and after your first game, if you kind of get a taste for how quick the format is, I think this is going to be a faster format than last time's limited with RTR. So I don't know, per se, how good Assemble the Legion is. I don't think it's going to be very good against Gruul at all, but if you are facing off against like a Demir or, someone else like that, if you're facing off against Orzhov, I think it's going to be pretty useful, but it's definitely something I would back burner. Let's go down. We got some war leaders right now. We actually got 2 cards based on one frickin' person. She's got flying, vigilance, and haste in this first iteration card of hers, and whenever she attacks for the first time, each turn you untap all creatures you control, and you attack again. You got an additional combat phase. They come out with some version of this card all the time. This actually is, I think, the most powerful iteration that I can remember in recent memory. And it's that this particular card doesn't even have to hit them in order for the second combat phase to take place. It's whenever she attacks. So even if they kill her, she's got haste. You're going to get that second combat phase through. So I really like that, to be honest with you. I think it's a pretty interesting card. I've never really played the cards. One time they came out with this same kind of mechanic, and it was an enchantment. But the guy had to deal damage, and then you had to sack a creature. It was really messy, but you got like infinite turns, infinite combat phases after that. It's just that I think this is a pretty solid iteration of this. You're going to get 2 combat phases off of her. She's a little late, but I think that it could be just what you need to finish your opponent off, especially if you have some other tricks in your hand that'll help you force through those last couple points of damage. We also have Aurelia's Fury, whatever her name is, I don't know. This is basically Rolling Thunder at instant speed, which I think Rolling Thunder, if I don't miss my guess, was a sorcery. But I freaking loved Rolling Thunder, and this is cheaper in an instant. So even if Rolling Thunder was an instant, this son of a gun is cheaper, which just makes it better. So I really like this. This card's going to be a beater in every format. It's going to see standard play, but we're not talking about that. But this card is going to be a beater. Like, you have to know that this exists. That's the thing. Like, you got to keep some guys in your hand, or you got a guy down to the point where they don't have enough mana to take you out. It's just this. Rolling Thunder is amazing. This Fury card, equally so. I like it quite a bit. This card's actually pretty interesting. Bane Alley Broker. I intentionally didn't say the last card's names because I didn't know how to say it, but whatever. This card actually, I looked at it, and I had several, like a scope of emotions. I had a range of emotions looking at this card. I do like drawing cards. I like the fact that I can get cards back. I don't like the fact that instant speed removal or anything that gets rid of her is going to keep my card gone. But I do like this in limited just for the fact of card draw. There are better cards in the set that can get the same point across, but in limited, if you don't really have any other options, you're playing these colors, card draw is going to be pretty powerful for you. And there is a good chance that she'll stick around at least a couple turns, and that'll allow you to grab a card back that you exiled. The only problem with this is that I don't want to see people get overzealous, because if she's tapped down, you're not going to be able to get your cards back. And if you're not tapping her down so that in response to instant speed removal you can get your card back, then you're not drawing a card, so you're not really utilizing her. On one hand, I think a lot of people are going to view this as being like a better than having to discard a card, but I personally think that it's a little bit more. It's like more of a double-edged sword than just discarding the card, because I think a lot of people are going to be remiss in actually using her ability there, or a little reticent, I guess, to use that as well. So there's could be a lot of mistakes, and there could be a lot of like slow playing with this card that I don't think is necessarily there. So it's just something to keep an eye out for. I don't think it's going to break anything or anything like that. Biovisionary is not really going to be important in the format. There are a couple things that you can do to make copies of this guy, but it's really not that big of a deal. You can't even use the Demir shapeshifter to copy this guy, because its name is still his name, Lazav, isn't that his name? We'll get to him later, but you can't even really use that, so there's not a whole lot of cards that you can combo off with this in limited. If you get the perfect storm, then, more power to you, but I don't think he's really going to be too much of a threat. We're going to go to Swedish Chef Enraged. He's got Trample. Whenever Borkschniflurgen Enraged deals combat damage to a player, you reveal the top 3 cards of your library. This guy, he's got land tricks. You're putting lands into play, I guess. You're getting them into your hand, rather. Then you're discarding them, but you're not playing them, and it's counterintuitive to all the other cards in his color. Gruul really wants a lot of mana on the board so that you can utilize those other effects that they're giving you. I don't get why he costs 1,000 mana. or why he's doing this. I don't know. I don't know. It's a very complex card. I don't think it really fits with the other Gruul cards. I don't think it's really... I think it's going to be a beater just because it's a 7/6 trample. And like I said, I think a lot of these matches are going to reach that, turn 10, that turn 11. So if you don't have an answer for this, just being on the field as a fat body, you're going to have a problem. But I really don't see his ability being that big of a thing except to deal the last few points of damage to you. So in limited, I think he's much better than he'll be in other iterations, in other ways of playing the game. But I don't know. He feels so weird. He feels so wonky in Gruul decks. I don't understand. Especially Gruul decks ideally will have won by turn 8. So I'm not really positive about that card. We got Boros Charm. This is obviously a pretty good card. Permanents you control can be indestructible for 2 friggin' mana. Target creature gains double strike, which you could just full on kill someone with that. If you're doing a red, green, white deck, you can have somebody with trample have the double strike and just win. Trample and double strike was a huge thing when we were originally at Ravnica, when we were originally in Gruul. And it was one of the most fun things ever, was just to trample, double strike somebody to death. It was amazing. So this is a removal spell, which is fun. For 2 mana, you do 4. This is a protection spell. You get in the indestructible. It's just really good. I like it a lot. It's going to be really good. It's obviously a card that a lot of people are going to enjoy playing. It's something that you really have to pay attention to if you're playing against it. Call of the Nightwing. This is actually our first Cypher card. It's not my favorite one by far. It's a 4-drop 1/1 with the thinly veiled hopes that you'll get more 1/1s in the future. I don't even really think this is too much of a threat in the format. It's definitely not going to be. There are just better ways to do this in Standard. But I really don't think this is going to be too big of a problem for you tonight. So I'm not too worried about that. We've got Cartel Aristocrat. This card's interesting. You can give her, pro whatever at the cost of another creature. It's interesting in Orzhov because there's not a whole lot of creatures out there. I mean, I like the card art. I don't know. It's just... It's interesting. It's a weird card. I don't think it's going to be too useful in a lot of instances, especially in Orzhov. You want to have a lot of creatures out there that have their the Orzhov ability, extort. You just want to have a lot of different things going on. I don't think that sacking a creature to keep a 2/2 like a Grizzle Advisor out there on the field is going to be too much of a boon to you. But it is something that you can get some tricks in on. I just don't think that sacking creatures to it is going to be the answer in a lot of matches we just moved over to. Clan Defiance, this is sick. Clan Defiance is sickening to me. It's really freaking good. Obviously this is going to be a beater whenever, like I said, I mean, Gruul really wants to have a lot of mana out on the field, and this really rewards them late game by just allowing them to decimate your side. They're going to be able to get rid of a lot of your creatures, 2 creatures, and punch you in the face for quite a bit. Not great. Not great at all. I'm not looking forward to losing to that card because I'm sure I will. I'm sure someone will tap down and be like, Clan Defiance, and I'll be like, yep. Fair enough. Consuming Aberration. This is a card, man. It's power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyard. Whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals a card from the top of his or library until land card. A lot of the Demir cards have this until land card stipulation on them now, which is it's pretty cool. I think definitely in limited, that's going to be a problem because there's only, you're only going to have, 16 lands, 16, 17 lands in a lot of your decks. So I think that that's really going to be an issue. I, of course, am running under the assumption that you're doing a 16-8-16 spec, which is, for those of you who don't know, 16 creatures, 8 spells, heavy on the removal. You want like 5 of those, 6 of those to be removal spells if you can, and then 16 lands to get to your 40. But I just did the math in my head to make sure that equaled 40. But anyway, It's a good card, I think, because you're gonna be hitting lands a lot, but it's also a 40 card format. So I think this is going to be kind of a beater. It is a 5-drop, so it's not fantastic, but it could get pretty fat too, depending on how much you've milled your opponent. Not that I particularly think Demir is really going for a mill theme, even though they have a lot of juicy mill cards. I think that for the most part, Wizards is shying away from mill because it is one of the least favorably looked upon methods of winning. And it's definitely not something that a lot of pro players or people that have been playing for a long time are hopeful for every year. So I think I would be surprised if they didn't come back to it really hard in a later set and just really drilled in milling as a full-on option. Really came up with a great way to do it. But we've all seen fantastic milling cards fail to win. So I think that Demir kind of has this shadowy undertone that is really the whole point of their role in the set. But we'll talk about that when we get to some of their other cards. Right now we're going to talk about Death Pact Angel. This card's pretty good. A lot of people are freaking out about it, but that's, really for other things. But this in Limited is pretty good as well. It's a 6-drop 5/5, but you're going to keep getting it back for the most part because you're going to be able to get your little 1/1 token out of her. Pretty good in Limited. Again, it's a late gamer that doesn't have an enter the battlefield effect, which I'm never super happy about. But you are able to just kind of resummon it over and over again. So it's going to be really hard for them to get rid of because they have to be able to get rid of a flying 5/5 first, and then they immediately have to be able to get rid of a 1/1 token. There's a lot of stuff to take care of that in this format, in the Limited, but I think it's going to be pretty tricky for someone to be able to get rid of both of these with enough efficiency to make sure that you don't keep Death Pact Angel out there. Of course, that being said, it doesn't have haste, it just has flying, so this could be a trap that you set for yourself where you just keep tapping down your mana over and over and over again to play this Angel when it actually is just a lost cause. You're just kind of wasting your time. But like I said, if you keep getting it out on the field, eventually they're going to run out of kill spells, they're going to run out of answers for it. So it should be pretty interesting to see that card played. We got Demir Charm. Not my favorite charm, but it's pretty cool. Counter target sorcery spell, destroy target creature with power 2 or less, which, gee, seriously? Exile with 5 or greater, that was great. But destroy with 2 or less? That's just so minuscule. You also get to look at the top 3 cards of a player's library and put 1 back and the rest into the graveyard, which is really the main draw of this as far as I'm concerned. The counter sorcery is pretty good in Limited because there are some choice sorcery cards that we're not going to want to get through, but I also like the ability to just kind of give them an extra land if they're flooded and get rid of some of their options, or give them some high cost cards and get rid of a land, depending on which way they're going. So I do like that card. I do like my options on that one. Ooh, we'll probably end this little segment of it on the Planeswalker because that's going to be a really fun card to talk about. First, we're going to talk about Denrova Hora. When it enters the battlefield, you're going to return target permanent to its owner's hand. That player discards a card. It's a 6-drop, though. I like that effect a lot. I like it a lot. I wish that it was like a 4-drop 2/2. That, I don't see why that's not a thing. Because the 6-drop 4/4 that does this, I mean, it destroys target permanent sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. I think at a 6-drop, it's just way too expensive. I don't know why it's not just like a 4-drop 2/2. Because they wouldn't give you a 4/4 with that ability. But, I mean, come on. I feel like this is one of the times where you get in like an argument with the R&D people about, costing cards. Because I know they think Wizards as a whole doesn't really think that we cost cards appropriately. We always kind of bellyache that, oh, this is 1 mana too much, this is 1 mana too much. but I really think that this guy's 2 mana too much, but whatever. Speaking of cheap cards, though, we have got a Planeswalker that is a 3-drop that doesn't completely suck. I'm kind of excited to talk about this guy. I don't think he's going to be too much of a blast and limited, except for his removal ability, his Neg 2, where target creature fights another target creature. That's pretty good. I do like that. You're not going to see his Neg 7 go off. You're really not in limited, not when you have to go up, not when he has to stay out 5 turns to make it happen. He does drop early, which is going to make a lot of people hopeful that he will come out swinging and get that Neg 7, and maybe you'll see it once the entire time you're doing events, but I'm not too hopeful for that. I do like his +1, though. I think that's really good, especially in a Gruul deck, because hopefully you're running pretty much nothing but creatures. So I think that he's going to be pretty useful and limited, at least to regrip up, because I think the main problem with Gruul is that you are going to lose card advantage so quickly, because a lot of people are going to play out with it. Now, I'm probably going to play it as more of a hoarder. I'll get a couple of creatures out on the field, attack in, see what you're doing, and just kind of hoard those abilities, those Blood Rush abilities, until such a time that I can take you out in 1 turn. I think that's really what you need to do with Gruul. It's what you needed to do with Gruul really in RTR, or not in RTR, in original Ravnica. It was most effective when you hoarded the pieces of the puzzle until you could do like 60 damage in 1 turn and just obliterate your opponent. Have like 3 creatures coming at them with, no way to get rid of them. Get rid of all of them fast enough to stop them from dying. So I do like this card. I think it's going to help you grip up for the most part. It's going to help you have those Blood Rush abilities in your hand. We're going to be going on to more D cards next.